The following program is furnished by Kirk Word Media and is responsible for its contents. It's Sunday, it's sunny, and golf is great. It's time for the Hozel Rocket on ESPN Radio, your Sunday golf show with PGA Tour winner Joel Edwards and his caddy Brady Tinker. Now on 103.3 FM ESPN.
Well, the Eagles get us started off on the right foot every Sunday morning. It is not sunny. It is Sunday.
They can look out and see.
But it is PGA Championship Sunday, and we have something going on here. Mm-hmm. We have something that I think most of us have been rooting for. Makes Joel cringe a little bit, but all of us sort of rooting for it to be harder, for there to be more bad shots, more bad decisions, and more three putts, and we got it at Quail Hollow. The 99th PGA Championship will entertain you all Sunday morning as you look out at a beautiful rainstorm.
If you like that kind of sick thing.
Relax and enjoy your day. We are thrilled that you're here. This is the Hozel Rocket every Sunday morning from 8 to 9 a.m. Joel Edwards, 16 years on the PGA Tour, winner in Canada, and the Golf Whisperer. If you need any help with your golf swing in this town, Joel Edwards will not reconstruct what you do. He will take what you got and he will make what you got better and make you a better golfer that has more fun. And we're thrilled that you're here. I'm Brady Tinker, caddying.
No, you don't
not
caddy.
Literally, but radio caddying for Joel Edwards. And thrilled to be here. The PGA Championship going on today. We have a big show. We will talk about the PGA Championship. Quail Hollow is a course that Joel knows very well. We will talk about that. So let's break this out. Talk a little bit about different versions of choking. We've all choked, and I think most of us think a choke is a push 3-foot putt to the right when you really wanted it, in a $5 Nassau. Did Jason Day choke yesterday at 18 in making an 8 and taking himself out of a chance to win the PGA? We'll talk about that. And then the big news is at 8:20, we will have an extended segment. Normally story time is in our second segment. We will have an extended segment for about 20 minutes as we converse with 1977 PGA winner Lannie Wadkins, now currently Golf Channel analyst and a friend of Joel's.
Yes. PGA champion.
And his brother Bobby and Lannie were on the tour all at the same time with Joel, and they became fast friends, so we'll get stories about that. And Lannie will talk about his win. In 77, Lannie won the PGA Championship in a 3-hole playoff with Gene Littler. He again was in a playoff in 87. And lost, and I can't remember.
Larry Nelson.
There you go.
In Florida.
Lannie was a 21-time winner on the PGA Tour, won his major at the PGA, so that's going to be a great long conversation right in the middle. And Lannie can really talk, I think, today to... He was sort of in the middle of the pack, and I read somewhere that he basically said, hey, I was just trying to finish top 8 or top 9 to get certain exemptions, and the day sort of fell into place, and he had a chance. Also, I think that tournament was one of the first tournaments for a major where they said, oh, we're going to a sudden death playoff now. I guess, is that right?
I don't know.
Had majors always been 18-hole playoffs?
I think so up till then. I'm pretty sure they were.
Okay.
I really don't know, but yes, probably sounds about right.
Okay.
Sounds about right.
And then also in story time, Joel remembers Quail Hollow is in Charlotte, North Carolina, certainly NASCAR's home. And Joel had some experience with NASCAR's and the Hendrick race team. So we'll do that. And then from crappy to happy in the final segment, I think we'll do two things. One, these greens are fast. And I claim to love fast greens, but that's a bit of a false claim in that in my junior year in college playing the Big 8 championship in a round with Scott Verplank, we played greens that rolled about 12, and I was puckered so tight I was praying on every single putt I hit. I think I remember 38 or 9 putts the first day of the Big 8 championship. So we'll talk about fast greens, what to do with them if you ever get to play great fast greens, and we'll talk a little bit about choking, the definition of choking in a round of golf from those of you who are average players, higher handicapper players, to guys like Joel and Jason Day and the guys that played on the PGA Tour. Good with that?
Yeah.
All right. So what'd you see? Let's start out with Quail Hollow. Tell us a little bit about Quail Hollow. They have 3 new holes, but your recollection of this beautiful and very hard golf course.
This doesn't shock me that 700's leading it. I mean, it's a different golf course now than when it does when it plays in May. Before it's completely different.
Yeah, and the PGA does that. Explain that, because the closest thing I've seen is I get to play a month or so before. I get to play the course where they play the Byron. I get to play the course where they play the Colonial, and we get a feeling for it. But it's not the same. The closest I think I came is this year when you and Kirk got us into the LPGA event that was at Las Colinas Country Club, and we played the day before the tournament started. And that course was amazing. It was
it's different.
Perfect. The greens rolled, I don't know, 11.5 or 12, and the golf course was immaculate. What the PGA or the LPGA does to get a course ready is nothing short of amazing.
That's exactly right. It's funny. Quail Hollow, the reason why is the fairways and everything, greens and everything. Well, they got new greens, but the thing is, it's so much more texture-wise firmer.
Okay,
which makes the ball,
because those are Bermuda greens.
These are Bermuda, what they have
which
now.
Which those of us watching on TV can't believe
they had bent.
Okay,
before they had bent, so the ball would stop, and there was really no grain, and now there's grain.
You could see some grain.
Oh, sure, and which I think is not a bad thing, but. A lot of courses, there's not very many courses here in the South that have really good bent greens.
No.
They do in November and December, January, stuff like that, because that's when they thrive. But like North Carolina there, that golf course is so hard anyway. And they added like 80 yards to number one or whatever before, and they added 2 used to be a par 3. It still is, but I mean, they added that hole and they made some. So it's basically the same land, but it's a little bit different. And the grass makes the golf course completely different, as you have seen. Because like 19, sometimes 18, 19, 20 on a 7,400-yard, 7,500-yard golf course, those guys were tearing it up with bent greens.
Right.
They're not going to do that with this. It's just not going to happen. So the ball's going to bounce first. The ball's going to bounce maybe 10 or 12 steps. Just watch it on TV today. It's going to sand wedges. They bounce, they hop first, and then they spin back just a little bit. They're not spinning back 50 yards. Sometimes they can. On bent grass, you'll see that. Sometimes you'll see it at Augusta. You remember, just watch. The ball will bounce. Next thing you know, it's up by the hole, and zzz, comes back off the green. They're chipping. Right. Everybody goes, man, I wish I could spin it like that. So the question is, how far do you hit your sandwich? And the guy said 50 yards. Why do you want it to back up?
Right.
So anyway, that's a little joker.
It was
but
good,
anyway,
though.
Thank you. And I mean, it's true. But so those greens there are just not receptive enough. You're not going to get the ball really, really close a lot of times. I mean, there was some great Graham DeLette. We talked about that earlier.
Yeah, I don't know if you, those of you who watched or didn't watch yesterday, Graham DeLette was, having an average day. He was hanging around, and he was struggling to the tune of +3 when he got to, and I don't have it in front of me, but he got to 13, and he went birdie, eagle, birdie to play 4 holes in 6 under and to go from 3 over to 3 under in his round and got himself, back in the tournament. He sits at 1 under, I think. Maybe 2 under. He sits at 2 under as he shot 68 yesterday. So you're like, wait a minute, he was 6 under in 4 holes and he still only shot 68. Yeah.
That shows you how hard the course is.
He made plenty of bogeys. I mean, it's a hard golf course.
It's really hard.
Why am I enjoying this more? Is it because this happens to me? I go to Las Colinas with you and I chunk it around and I have a 40-footer that I 3-putt and it seems hard to me?
Yeah, I think it's just people like to see guys make scores that they make.
Yeah, I guess that's right. And have struggles that I've had.
Yeah, we have, and I can assure you from a player standpoint, it's not that fun. Because your ego's going, man, I mean, I shot 21 under last week at wherever, Avenel. And then you come here and you're going, God, this thing's so much harder, different greens, and I'm 5 over. I'm the same golfer as I was, but it's a putt here, it's a putt there, it's a chip there. But on that golf course, when you're basically going from soft greens to firm fairways, the tour wants it to play firm and fast. That's the way the tour PGA of America. They want it to play firm and fast. And last year at Baltusrol, look at Jimmy. I mean, it's the same thing. That golf course played really soft. And, and so the difference is...
Jimmy Walker, by the way.
Jimmy, good times. And that's what they call him, good times. And so, golf course is soft. You saw the ball not bouncing very much. Well, this one, it's bouncing into the rough, and it's staying into the rough, and then you're going to hit shots coming out. Speaking of, my thing, and I'm going to ask Lannie that in a minute, but There are times when you see someone do something like on 18.
Jason Day on 18. Yeah, for those of you who didn't see, Jason Day was right in the middle of this golf tournament at 4 under, went to 18 and made almost an inexplicable 8.
Oh, twice he did it. I mean, twice he was back down to 1 under or 2 under.
Bogey, quadruple bogey. Yeah, because he made birdies at 14, 15, and 16 to get himself right in the middle of the golf tournament.
Unbelievable. Now 17 is acceptable. I mean, you're going to make bogey there. I mean, if you don't hit a perfect shot, but now, granted, I'm sitting on an armchair quarterback. I get that, but you got to think about it. He's in pine straw. First of all, that ball's not going to move uphill, and it's not.
He's also going to hit a tree with his club about a foot after his follow-through. It was just a really, really bad mistake, and I think a little ego got in there, a little embarrassment, like you said. Maybe he was just trying to make it up too fast. Right. If you watched, my impression was that when he went to 18, he'd been hitting it all over the place anyway. He'd only hit 4 fairways.
Right.
He got to 18, and the only thing you can't do is snap it left and hit it in the creek. Right. And he'd hit about 4 marginal snap hooks during the day. So you're standing up there, and all of us know this thought. Whether or not we're capable of doing what these guys are, we aren't. But the thought of, I know I can hit this shot. He needs to hit a big draw down the middle and make himself a par and be 3 shots back of the leaders when Sunday starts. And he knows what he needs to do, and he's done it a million times, and he couldn't get himself to turn that club loose. So he blocks it right. And you could see this sort of sheepish smile, and I know it, of embarrassment on your face where you're like, I know I can hit that shot. I know what shot I need to hit, but my body and my mind won't let me hit it because I'm not making the big mistake and hitting the ball in the creek.
That's exactly right. But he might have well.
Then he made the big mistake.
To me, he probably should have gone ahead and done it and made your double because he's mad at the double. Can you imagine how he feels now if he would have had 2 less than he did last night?
Yeah, we'll put this in from crappy to happy. There are lots of ways to choke. There really are. Your mind, your eyes, all kinds of things will deceive you and talk you. Not to mention fatigue, pressure.
Sure. They've been out there forever.
It's been a long day. It's been a long 3 days of chopping it around this golf course.
Yeah, I made a comment one year when I was doing an interview. I had so many of them, and
you got a lot of them now.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And anyway, and somebody said about choking. I said, well, look, guys, swings don't choke. Talking about swings, I said people do.
Yes.
Swings don't choke, otherwise they wouldn't be on tour. Those swings work, believe me. And it's the people. It's not. It's the nerves. It's the people. It's
your head and your heart.
Absolutely,
no doubt about it. All right, when we come back, 77 PGA winner.
Lannie.
Golf Hall of Famer, Golf Channel analyst, and a guy who was in this very spot, right in the middle of the group with an opportunity to win a PGA in 1977 on Sunday, and he grabbed it. Lannie Wadkins, when we return to the Hozel Rocket, talking PGA Championship, the 99th PGA Championship from Quail Hollow, when we return to the Hozel Rocket right here on ESPN Radio 103.3 FM.
It's the Hozel Rocket on ESPN Radio with PGA Tour winner Joel Edwards and his caddy Brady Tinker on 103.3 FM ESPN.
Good Sunday morning to you, and welcome back to the Hozel Rocket right here on ESPN Radio 103.3 on your FM dial. Joel Edwards, 16 years on the PGA Tour, dabbling, shall we say, with some senior events. Is that the right way to put it?
Yeah, we'll see what Lannie says about that.
Okay. We know what Chichi Rodriguez thinks about it, don't we?
Yeah.
Welcome back. Let's talk golf. The 99th PGA Championship going on, and I'm thoroughly enjoying this tournament in the first 3 days. There is some pain. There are plenty of 3 putts. The rough is thick. Scoring is very, very difficult. And nobody better to talk to us about this than a man who won the PGA Championship in all its glory. Most difficult conditions. Lannie Wadkins won 21 times on the PGA Tour, and for some reason is friends with our host Joel Edwards. Lannie, welcome to the show. Thanks for being here.
You bet. Good to be with you guys. Always good to be with Joel.
Yeah, see,
why is that? I haven't really discovered that yet, other than his penchant for Dr. Pepper, which I like, which, by the way, he's cold turkey on Dr. Pepper right now.
Yeah,
I find that very hard to believe.
Me too.
That in itself is shocking. That's a heck of a way to start the morning, but Joel's one of these guys that had a world of talent. I think always should have been a better player than he was. Not always the best attitude, but we've been friends. And
he's right.
I just kept waiting for him to play better, and and unfortunately, he didn't. I think up to his potential. And that happens with a lot of us. I mean, I see a guy that swings the club as good as Joel does, has as good a putting stroke as he does, and sometimes a little jealousy on my part. I don't have that great a swing, didn't have the best putting stroke, but I had a big desire to win. I think that's probably the difference.
Well, he was with Pudge at the Hall of Fame induction in
Cooperstown,
upstate New York. Yes, and
that's cool. See, baseball is my favorite sport. I love it.
Well, he played in an event with Pudge, and Chi-Chi was in their group, and Chi-Chi spent the day roasting Joel for not playing more golf on the senior tour.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, but it's probably the toughest tour to have access to as well. I mean, the fields are smaller, 78 players a week, and then it's and rightfully so. It's geared to the guys who had big careers on the PGA Tour. They're the ones that are going to draw the sponsors, the money, and really make that tour a success. I mean, we're always going to be a better, stronger product if our name players, John Daly, for example, winning this year in Houston, if they win. So it makes it tougher for, guys. My brother would fall in that case, Bobby. He had a good Champions Tour career, but barely got out there because of, career money. So, and he took advantage of it. So it's not easy to be out there.
Before we get to what's going on at Quail Hollow this week, take us through go back to 1977 and how your Sunday shaped up in winning at Pebble Beach and winning your PGA. Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, it's interesting. Gene Littler, was is who I ended up in the playoff with, but I started the day 6 shots back. I had played well, but Littler had played spectacular all week. I played with him the third round, and he was just playing beautifully. There's not a soul on planet Earth that doesn't like and love Gene Littler. He's a fantastic man, beautiful golf swing, always a pretty player to watch. I was paired the last round with Leonard Thompson, who Joel knows well, and Don January here in Dallas. And all day long, we were all pulling for lit. My goal the last round was to play a good round and get in the top 8 and get myself back in the Masters, because the top 8 in the PGA got back in the Masters. I've been through some surgeries and had some issues, and I was actually not even an exempt player when I won the PGA. I was, I think I'd missed top 60 the year before. Back then it was top 60, not top 125. So
a little different.
Little different, but I had a real good year going without a win, and then lo and behold, I won the PGA, won the World Series of Golf 2 weeks later, and finished, I think, 3rd or 5th on the money list. So it was a big jump. But I started off really well last round. I equaled both 2 and 6 on the front 9, both par 5s. The strange thing about the round was I did not make a birdie all day until 18. I birdied 18 to post 70, and Littler had a string of about 4 bogeys on the back 9, and I was sitting there thinking, I thought I had a chance at 17T if I finished birdie. And as Joel knows, you play this in major championships at 17. They play the 17th hole back across the road, so it's 2-iron shot, 4-wood even. And I had the best 2-iron in my life, about 12 feet behind the hole on the left side of the green there, and hit a putt that I thought was no way. It just melted over the high side left edge coming down, didn't go in. I thought, well, maybe something could happen at 18. I hit 2 good shots, had 92 yards left of the flag. And they have a big scoreboard, which they've always had right behind the 18th green.
Yep.
And right before I hit that shot, they changed Littler from, I want to say, 6 under to 5 under. And I was, I think, 4. Or they changed him from 7 to 6, and I was 5. Something like along those lines. Mm-hmm. So I knew he still had 17 and 18 to play. And I stuck my wedge to about 2 feet. I got really excited before I hit it. I had to back off and take a deep breath because I knew I had a chance. So that was kind of cool. That when I knew I had a chance, I performed. So that was what was special to that shot. Got the putt in the left edge. Littler actually got it up and down on 17 from right of the bunker, with the pin in the back left for 3. And then had about a 30-footer for birdie at 18, didn't make it. But the guy I was looking at was Nicholas. Nicholas had about a 15-footer at 18 to tie me. And I'm at that point in time, we did not know it was going to be a sudden death playoff. All previous PGA playoffs had been 18 holes on Monday. And I'm sitting there thinking, I really don't want to play Jack Nicklaus in an 18-hole playoff on Monday. Of course, he's won a U.S. Amateur, U.S. Open on. I don't want to play him on Monday over here. Please, miss. And he did. I don't usually pull against other people very often.
Yeah, but it is Jack.
Like if I play my best, I should get it done. But I was sure as hell pulling against Jack then. So then I was halfway through a beer, and they said, "You've got to go to the first tee for a playoff." So whoops. So kind of regrouped and went to the first tee, and they'd already taken down the gallery ropes, the whole deal. And first playoff hole I missed. I made about a 15-footer just to stay alive. And then the third hole, the course was playing really, really fast. We both knocked it on the second hole and two putted for birdies. And then I won on the third hole with a par. Just literally hit a poor second into the rough in front of the green. And as I was walking on the green, I'd actually hit it just over the back edge. I looked at Litt's line. I went, ooh, that's not good. He had big old long grain of grass growing into him. He almost had no chance to get it close from what would look like a pretty simple chip shot just because the lie was so bad. And he didn't. He got it about 15 feet. I got it down there about 6 feet. He missed it. I made.
Yeah. I'll tell you what funny, Lannie, I know I'm telling everybody here listening that the golf course, the Pebble, playing in August or back then, I believe it was August, and playing it in February.
Two different things.
Is not even the same golf course.
Well, it's not. No, it was really fast. Actually, there was a big-time drought at Pebble that week. In fact, one of the local rules we had that week was you got a free drop from earth cracks, whether they were in the fairway or rough.
Wow.
And I wasn't in one all week, and I had just hooked my drive on two about a half a yard into the rough. But I was sitting in an earth crack. I mean, I got officials down there, hands and knees and everything. They said, "Yeah, it's an earth. You get a free drop."
Oh, thank you very much.
It bounced right into the fairway.
Yeah.
So now, so that was a good little break there. But you get those breaks when you win.
That's exactly right.
Yeah.
Which leads us into when you get breaks like that, it happens. I mean, I remember Hale at Pebble Beach, hitting the rocks by the seals over there and getting it back in the fairway.
Kisner yesterday.
Yeah, Kisner got a good. Yeah, that probably because he would have had to drop it probably on the other side of the creek.
Absolutely. So
and he's not getting that up and down either, so that saved him a shot, no question.
Yeah.
But the other cool thing about the PGA, when I will say this right quick, we're standing on the first tee, and the officials say, "By the way, guys, whichever one of you guys wins, you're on the Ryder Cup team."
Wow.
This was the first time they were making the Ryder Cup. Making the PGA champion an automatic spot on the Ryder Cup team. He said, whichever one of you guys wins, you knock off Al Geiberger, who was in 10th place, 10-man team back then. So that was how I made my first Ryder Cup team.
Well, how did you process all that then? Because we are all a little bit mystified at what we saw from Jason Day on 18, and we're going to do in our next segment after you leave, we're going to do a little. There's a lot of ways to choke. You can choke by missing a 3-footer in a Nassau, and you can choke by your decision-making or fatigue or whatever it may be. But you were, first of all, sent out to play a playoff that you didn't know you were going to play. You'd worried that Nicklaus might be in it for 18. Then it's not. You're halfway into a beer, and, oh, by the way, you need to go to the first tee and play a playoff. And, oh, by the way, if you win this,
you get to go to the Ryder Cup.
You get to go to the Ryder Cup. How did you process all that in your mind and your heart
and
still
go? Not mention, I sat for about 30 minutes waiting for them to finish and never hit a practice shot.
Oh, that's unbelievable.
Well, the practice range is not really close. No. It's a car ride away.
Yeah. On Pebble, you got to go.
So, how did you process all that? What'd you do? Do you remember? What'd you do in your brain to say, okay, that doesn't matter. All I got to do is just hit a shot?
I was excited about the opportunity. I'm thinking, I've had a good year. I was back to playing really close to the way I thought I could play, hitting a lot of quality shots, having good finishes, a couple of second-place finishes. And that, just to give you a perspective on money that year, I was probably in the top 20 with about $90,000 won that year at that point. Which, I won $45,000 for the PGA.
Yeah, we saw that. 1.89 is the payout this year.
Yeah, I don't think we've had that much inflation for mine to be the same. But yeah, it was, so I felt I had always won. So I was thinking, I've got a chance to win. And that was all that crossed my mind. I was just thinking, what can I do?
That's what you should be.
At this stage of the game, I've only got one person to beat. Mm-hmm. And Sam Snead and I talked a lot one time, and Sam was a big believer and sometimes paying attention to what your opponent's doing, see if he's reacting to the heat. And I noticed it right on the first tee.
Wow.
I mentioned, I had played with Littler the day before. His setup was very, very square. the ball up around the left heel in his stance, swinging beautifully, trusting what he was doing. We got on the first tee. We both hit forward off the first tee. He had it back in the middle of his stance, aimed in the right trees.
Holy cow.
So now I saw that, and I knew this guy who's almost 20 years older than I was. He was probably 18 years older than me or something. I think he was 44, something like that. I was 26 or 7, something like that. So, I'm sitting there thinking, he's choking. He's got issues. He's lost his confidence. So that kind of I noticed that, and it gave me a little boost right quick. But, there were a lot of cute stories about, I made a great up and down. I just flagged it with my second shot, and it was wrong. I hit it too solid. It knocked it right over the pins in the front left center. I knocked it right over the back of the green, which is pretty much dead.
Yep.
And I had a guy caddying for me named Ralph Coffey, who has since passed away. And Joel probably remembers Ralph. Good,
he caddied for me.
Really good. Did he? Yeah, Ralph's a really good guy. And you remember Joel could flip. I mean, he could flip golf balls around and spin them on the greens and stuff. But the other thing is Ralph had a slight stutter. He'd get excited, and so we're in the fairway. I said, "Well, we got Ralph." I said, and he couldn't get it out. He started stuttering, and he was so nervous. I said, "Ralph, write it down." That's how I got my yardage from the first fairway.
That's Coffee.
Oh man! All right,
he's in a better place. So.
Before we let you go, Lannie, as you look at this leaderboard, Kisner's just hit it the best and made the best decisions to this point. You came from 6 back. In theory, that brings in everybody all the way to -1, and Jason Day even at even. Can you see that being?
And that's a good point, because John Happy won the next year after me in the playoff, and he was 7 back in the last round. And then David,
it's out there.
It's there, and this is actually very much the kind of course you can come from 5 or 6 back.
Exactly right. Yep.
When it's this hard, those guys can shoot 65, 6, 7. I got a feeling. I just watched a little bit of Morning Drive here on Golf Channel with somebody talking about Kerry Haig, and who does the course setup, and he's got a little bit more receptive today. The greens, the big misconception I think this week is that the greens are going to be a lot more receptive after the rain they had. People forget they have sub-air there, which means it's like a vacuum cleaner underneath the greens, sucking all the moisture out of the grass.
Okay.
So those greens are going to firm back up really quick. I would expect to see them, unless they got more rain last night, which I don't know. I would expect to see them a little firmer today than yesterday. So hole locations might be a tad easier. I think this tournament has once again showed the importance of driving it in the fairway.
Yes.
I think it's one of the things in golf. Everybody loves seeing it, guys hit it a long way, and there's no consequence on a weekly basis for errant drives. And this week there is. So that's one of the reasons Kisner is doing so well. He's hitting a lot of fairways. I would expect him to keep. I have always liked Kevin Kisner's game. I mean, he should have won the Players, a couple of years ago. He hit a putt to win on 18 that melted over the right edge to win. Probably
he has no fear.
Outright. No, he has no fear. He's strong-willed. I was surprised by a couple of loose irons yesterday. I would imagine he'll be tightening those up and playing a little more conservative. He's putting the best. He's got the green speeds figured out better than anyone else, and he's hitting more fairways. I don't think he's going away.
No, I don't think so.
Somebody's going to have to shoot 67 or something and come get him. Man. I don't see him playing worse than he did yesterday, honestly.
No, he reminds me of Lannie Wadkins is who he reminds me.
Well, then he's going to win.
I would think so.
Yeah.
Hey, Lannie, I want to thank you and your brother for all the years you've been good to me. I mean, I would love to tell the story of how it all started, but
we'll do that here another time.
I'll do it maybe next segment so he can't have a rebuttal.
Yep.
And
good idea.
But I want to thank both of you for. I've always thought you guys were my big brothers on the tour, and I appreciate it. And,
well, it's good to have you in our games. Bob. It's funny. Having a brother that played almost the entire time I was out there was really pretty cool. So,
oh man,
that's probably, and we've always been close. We're only 18 months apart in age, and we probably played more rounds of golf than any two people ever.
Yeah.
So, starting back when we were kids, through college, amateur golf, traveled together, and then on the tour. So it's been very special for both of us.
Well, I appreciate you coming on the show, and I appreciate both of you for being friends for me. And I just want to thank you, Lannie, from the bottom of my heart that you called.
No,
in.
you're welcome, Joel. It's good to be with you, and glad you're keeping busy here, big boy.
We're having a good time. He's getting good at radio fast. Lannie, thank you so much.
That's the reason I'm doing TV. It gives me something to do.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for taking the time and for taking us back to 1977. We appreciate you very much. The great Lannie Wadkins.
Thanks, Lannie.
Thanks, buddy. 21 career wins, the 77 PGA Championship winner. When we come back, it's time for From Crappy to Happy. We got a couple of stories to mix in there. Plus, we will talk about Pudge Rodriguez, good friend of Joel Edwards, and his retirement ceremony of his jersey. We'll talk about choking. We'll talk about how to roll fast greens so you don't three-putt all day. All that coming up next on the Hozel Rocket right here on ESPN Radio 103.3 on your FM dial.
You're listening to the Hozel Rocket on ESPN Radio, where we make the crappy part of your golf game the happy part on 103.3 FM ESPN.
Oh, welcome back to the Hozel Rocket. This is Joel. It's the first time I've ever come back from a what do you call it? A commercial.
A break.
There you go. And to hear the Eagles. I think, do we have to pay the Eagles for that?
We don't.
Oh, good, because
call Vinny.
I know I was going to say Vince's, but welcome back to the Hozel Rocket. How did I do there?
Pretty good.
I think
There's
that's pretty,
more to it.
I know. Well, obviously,
are you
welcome
finished?
To ESPN 103.3 FM
exactly
on your
right.
FM dial.
This is, and if you're listening
Thanks
this morning,
to Jake and
if you're
Saad.
listening this morning, we appreciate it very much because most of you listen on your way to the golf course or to hit some balls, and it is raining, and I don't have a weather forecast in front of me, but it looks like a beautiful day to sleep in. Listen to the Hozel Rocket this morning. Get some eggs and some bacon. Get yourself all set to watch a very exciting PGA Championship.
It's going to be awesome.
Yeah, Lannie Wadkins nailed it in the last segment. Boy, we were really hoping that, because he came from six back and how you hang around on a very difficult golf course, and it just seemed like what we're going to have today could be a reenactment of what Lannie went through in 77. Thick, rough,
The pants
hard
won't have bell bottoms on, though.
No, they won't.
I was going to give him a hard time about that.
Yeah. You're listening to the Hozel Rocket, and we sure appreciate you. Thank you very much to Lannie Wadkins, 77 PGA Championship winner and Professional Golf Hall of Famer.
Yes.
We enjoyed him very much. Let's see what we got. We got a little business to do. First of all, if you would like to listen to any of our shows, these are all podcast at various places, but including right here on the ESPN 103.3 FM website. If you want to see the video of this, we actually shoot videos of every one of these shows. Now, it's just Joel and I sitting here looking extraordinarily average, but if you want to see it, it's at the Hozel Rocket, and Hozel is spelled with a Z, Hozel Rocket, and you can find it on our Facebook site. You can find it on our YouTube site. All of these videos and these entire shows are there as well. Also, helpingourheroes.us. You've heard me talk about this for the last 3 or 4 weeks. Joel and I are passionate about helping children and about helping and doing anything we can to aid our veterans, those that are fighting now and those that have fought in the past, those that are home, those that are wounded, any issues that they are having, we want to do everything we can do to help out. So helpingourheroes.us is the website we want you to go to, because September 9th is a wonderful gala at Las Colinas Country Club, and then the 10th the Cowboys play. So then the golf tournament is on Monday the 11th.
Yes.
If you would like to be a part of that, we would love to meet you. We'd love to come out, play golf with us, meet some of these guys, and you will be inspired. I promise you, you will be inspired. Helpingourheroes.us, September 9th, and then the 11th. And then we've been telling you about our Lajitas Resort golf tournament and our trip that's coming up. We have a tentative date, but it looks like we're going to back this date up probably to sometime in the middle of September, and we are taking 4 of you with us. So any of you that would like to go, here is the deal. The flight, the hotel, all the golf that we can play in a 3-day period, food, etc., is $1,200. That's what I have been told. Okay, so flight, amazingly, hotel, I don't believe there's a rental car. I think we're going to be shuttled back and forth.
Yeah, it's about 100. It's about 200 yards from the airport.
Is it okay? So flight, hotel, golf, and food for $1,200. We're going to take 4 of you with us. We're going to take a group of about 35. The rest will be sponsors and the like. But we would love for you to get involved with that. If you'd like to go, please let us know. Call 1-877-787-1033 and let them know. Give them your name and phone number if you'd like to go. Or you can go to our website, or you can go to our Facebook site and just start writing on our wall. This This is stuff Joel and I are not all that privy to, but if you'd like to go, let us know. All right, that's the work. Now we got welcome back to the Hozel Rocket. This segment called From Crappy to Happy. Lannie Wadkins took us through a lot of things, and I was moved because I was like, gosh, Lannie, you got told you're on the Ryder Cup team if you win. You got told last second that you have a 3-hole sudden death playoff when you thought you were going to have 18 holes on Monday, so you've had a couple of beers.
Yeah.
All those things could have blindsided any of us. And his answer was, I saw it as an opportunity.
Absolutely.
I was excited. I couldn't wait. And then he looked across the way, and one of the greatest players he'd played with in years, Gene Littler, is aimed 25 yards to the right into the trees, which happens to all of us as we get nervous. And he took an opportunity. I think that is coming today. But From Crappy to Happy, talk a little bit about choking. You've done it. We've all done it.
No, I've never choked.
Okay. I take it back. But how do you do it? And there are so many ways to do it. And it took me a long time to realize that it wasn't just the physicalness of a shot that I was able to hit or not hit. That it was more what was in my heart and my head than anything else.
Sure. I think for the main thing, I said that earlier, and I meant it, that people don't choke. People choke. Swings don't. If you're on the tour and you got to swing, trust me, you're good enough to be out there. And doubt comes in, and when you're doubt, that becomes pressure. Everything gets tighter, quicker, faster. Boom, you're done. So you got to slow it all down somehow with breathing or whatever. They can tell you all you want, but Lannie will tell you that it's come from experience. And just plain step up and let's go and not be afraid of it. And there are some guys that are like that, and they're few and far between, Lannie being one of them. Mm-hmm. And I'm hard on myself, but I was more kind of, you could kind of see how I felt on my face and my body language, and and I'm not saying I couldn't have pulled it off. I did pull it off once, but I'm just saying that I on a major level, no, but I never was really, I only played in 6. So, but let's get back to the question instead of talking about me, which I really don't like anyway. But anyway, I'm kidding. Here we go again. I think that people have a tendency when their expectations get too high or too low. And there's a fine line there. So to me, Jason did not choke yesterday.
Okay.
He made a stupid decision. And I don't know if it was ego. I don't know if it was, you're basically hitting it towards a building.
Right.
What are you thinking?
And a bunch of bushes?
And
trees?
Yeah, so that to me is not choking. I don't think that's choking. That's a bad decision. That's just stupid. He knows better than that. And if he goes back to the fairway and hits it too far, he's making 6. Now, he's mad about making 6, but he's more mad about making 8.
If you're wondering why he didn't want to hit it to the left, he only had about 30 yards of rough to carry out of from a crappy lie.
On a hard fairway.
And then he needed to stop it on a hard fairway before it gets to a creek.
And then have 6-iron or 7-iron to the green.
That's right. That didn't look good to him.
That didn't look good. But obviously hindsight is 20/20, but I'd like to hear Lannie. Lannie's one of those players that didn't fear any shot, but the fact of the matter is there's a brain, and then it's funny I should say this, there's the brink of insanity, and then there's the abyss, and I think he went into that. It's like maybe it's delusional. It's like, I can pull this off. Well, no, it's just crazy. That's not choking. That's not thinking. Maybe what Kisner did from the middle of the fairway was a little choke. Mm-hmm. But for crying out loud, he got a break, and he made a 5.
Yeah, if you missed it, our leader hit 4-iron right in the middle of the creek on 18 that hit a bridge embankment and bounced left and stayed in play.
Stuff like that happens.
Yeah.
But I guarantee he won't feel that way today. It felt that way on 18 yesterday because they're exhausted. They've been out there a long time. It's hot and everything. But those things happen. When people miss shots that don't normally they miss, people would call that choking. Mm-hmm. But the fact of the matter is that that's mental. That has nothing to do with physical. Not one thing to do with physical. Because did Jason swing? Those of us that play the game. When you look at it on TV, you're going, well, he hung on to it a little bit. He's under the plane a little bit, hung on to it. He's been slinging hooks for the light. He said it 2 segments ago.
He'd hit 4 fairways all day.
Right. He's hit 4. And, so that thing's not going left.
Right.
Okay. So he knew that before he ever stepped up there. Is that mental or physical? That's mental. And Lannie will be telling you that. It's mental. Everybody could see it on his face where that ball was going. And then all of a sudden he does it and then tries to do that. That's almost like a get-me-out-of-town shot.
But
to me,
how
that's
are you hitting a get me out of town shot when you're 4 shots off the lead?
I have no idea, but that's what
PGA
it looked like to me. Is, I mean, you're talking that delusional, and great players, but I never saw here. I'm not, I'm not Brandel. I'm not that opinionated, but when I saw that, I said, that's either ego or just get me out of town. I mean, why try something that's so out? No one would try that.
To me, what it looked like was
a 15 handicapper wouldn't try that up against a tree.
To me, what it looked like was some of us who are 5 handicappers who, when we don't execute a shot because we bailed on a little bit, the next one we're by damn gonna execute it because we're that good. We can hit that shot.
Well, yeah,
right. Very tin cup. I can hit that shot. I mean, and it almost looked like that to me. Okay, before we get away,
I want to say one thing. Though.
Yes,
my father, bless his heart, he's been passed away a long time. He's up there playing golf. I will tell you this. I'll never forget him saying this. I made a triple on the last hole one time. I was so mad. My wife knows that. I mean, I'm so mad. Coming back to the car, and I'm 16 years old, and I'm not swearing, but I'm just steaming. And my dad made a comment to me. He said, "Son, is that better than an 8?" And I looked at him, and I went, "What?" He said, "You made a 7. Is that better than an 8?" My dad's a scratch player. And I looked at him, and I go, "Yes, sir." And he goes, "Think about how mad you'd be if you made an 8." So the thing is, it was so funny how he said that, and it's so true. The lowest score is going to win. So if you can make a 5 or an 8, it's your choice. I mean, if you can, he might have made 4.
Yeah, that was the part that was mystifying to me. Is he's played almost 3 full days.
Oosthuizen did it 2 groups in front of him.
Played almost 3 full days in this tournament, and people are dropping shots around you left and right.
Oosthuizen did the same thing he did.
Left and right. So a drop shot at 18.
What the heck?
Or even 2 drop shots at 18 was not going to cost you the golf tournament. But aiming to the right was an opportunity to lose or to never be able to win this
Even
golf
if he
tournament.
shoots 65 today, which could feasibly happen, that's 6 under, and anybody's capable of doing it.
Yeah, he's got the game.
Well, sure it does, but I guarantee you think about that, someone's got to play bad for him to win.
He ain't, listen, you're the pro here. He ain't shooting 65. He is going to. He didn't sleep at all last night. He did no interviews because he was upset and didn't want to try and explain what had happened because he probably didn't know.
Yeah.
And he ain't getting over that and shooting 65. If he does, we will talk about that for the next 5 shows. We appreciate Lannie Wadkins so much. 77 PGA Championship winner, 21-time winner on the PGA Tour, and World Golf Hall of Famer. We got from Crappy Abbey. We talked about choking.
Oh.
We did it.
Okay.
We did it. See, we've accomplished more than you even know. We sure appreciate you listening to us.
Yes, thank you.
Joel Edwards played 16 years on the PGA Tour, and every Sunday sits here with me and tries to give you some insight as to what the guys on the tour are doing and how it can translate to making your game a little bit better, making you have a little bit more fun. We hope we did that today. Helping our heroes, plural.us, if you'd like to play in that golf tournament on September 9th and 11th, and the lajitasresort.com, LAJITAS resort.com is the place that we are going sometime in September, and 4 of you are going to go with us. That's what we got for today's show. I'm Brady Tinker. Thank you so much for tuning in. Sorry it's raining, but I think you're going to have a fantastic day watching Kevin Kistner try and qualify for the Masters and win the PGA. And so many of these guys that are even as far as 6 back have a chance to go up this leaderboard. It's going to be a beautiful golf day, whether it's raining or not. Thank you very much for listening to us. We'll be back, as we are every Sunday, right here on ESPN Radio 103.3 on your FM dial. Next Sunday, 8 a.m. We'll be here.
The preceding program was furnished by Kirk Word Media and is responsible for its contents. Broadcasting live from the Mercedes-Benz of Plano ESPN Radio Studios. KESN FM, Allen, Dallas, Fort Worth. ESPN 103.